Okay, so yesterday we started 22:1, which is Nivchar Shem Me'osher Rav Mikesef Umizahav Chen Tov. And the way I think everyone says you're supposed to read it is a good name is better than great wealth, and good favor is better than silver and gold. Oh, it's really choicer, but no one says choicer in English, right? So Nivchar, preferable already, instant ideas. So in other words, the way you read it is that the word nivchar, you basically have to insert in the second part. And then also you have to insert tov for shame. Okay, and I did look through all the meforshim that I think I looked through all the meforshim. Everyone says it's shame tov, even though it doesn't say tov. Okay, so that was kind of what we were assuming. So the questions are, what is a shame? What does it mean? I mean, obviously translation is reputation, but like, what does it mean? And then we're going to assume that it is talking about a good name. Okay, choicer in what sense? Anytime you compare two things, you have to say compare it in terms of what. In what common plane is shame related to Osher Rav and Chen to Kesef Zahav? Okay. 3, what are, meaning it can't be apples and oranges. 3, what are Osher Rav and Kesef Zahav in this context? Okay. How much is Rav? Also, are these synonyms? Or is Osher Rav one thing and the Kesef Zahav is another thing? 4, what is Chen? And then what is Chen Tov as differentiated from Chen Ra? And we pointed out that in Mishlei there is such a thing as Chen Ra because we say in the end of Eshes Chayil, Sheker HaChen V'Hevel HaYofi, right? So there is a type of Chen that is like completely like illusory, and then there's a type of Chen that's good. 5, how does one achieve a Shem or a Chen Tov? If the pasuk is even addressing that, the pasuk might not be telling you how to get it. It just, there might be other pasukim about that, but we just asked that question anyway. 6, what is the Mishleic Hava Amina, or who is the audience? In other words, someone needs to be told that a Shem Tov is preferable to Osher Rav, presumably because they think that Osher Rav is preferable to a Shem Tov, or is it because they think that if you get Osher Rav, then you'll automatically get a Shem Tov, or is it because they think that like something else like that they're equal, So what is the Havamina? And that's going to kind of dictate who we're talking to. And then 7 is this statement just like talking about how to choose your values like in general, or is it addressing a very particular scenario where there's like a choice between something that will give you a Shem Tov and something that will give you wealth, and like it's saying like, oh, in that specific case you should choose one over the other. Yeah, Isaac?
I have another question.
Yeah.
Similar to the end of 3.
Sure.
So are the two halves of the pasuk saying the same idea or 2 different ideas?
Yeah. Okay. I will. I'll put that. I'm gonna put that in over here also.
Yeah. Also with shame and Chen Tov.
Yeah. Saying the same idea, or 2 different ideas. Yeah.
And what's the opposite? Just I guess the full pasuk would be the opposite.
I guess the opposite would be the Havamina, right? Yeah. That's a good question also.
We'll be thinking Osher and Kesef Zahav.
Right.
So did we have any ideas?
So the only thing we saw yesterday is people saying very general statements. I'm just going to show you one because it doesn't really give us that much of an idea. So the Meiri was surprisingly like sparse. Okay, Meiri says, well, first of all, the Metzudas David said virtually nothing, so much so that I'm not even going to read it. Well, if I'll read it. Nivchar Shem Tov, Nivchar Mi Osher Rav, V'chein Tov, Nivchar Mi Kesef Zahav. It doesn't even say anything, right? He's just telling you how to read it. Meiri says, Hanigla v'hanisr b'zeh echad. The external meaning and the esoteric meaning are the same. Romez al hashlemus hamidos. So he says Shem Tov and Chen Tov mean good midos.
Right.
Okay. The hamalos al ha'adam Chen v'Shem Tov, which are virtues for a person. And he's saying it's proper for you to seek after them more so than seeking after wealth and money. Because wealth and money oftentimes will lead you to your downfall, whereas a Shem Tov and Chen Tov will oftentimes lead you to success. So this was the closest we got to an idea, which is that the reason why Shem Tov is better than Osher Rav is because the way David said is, he said, that there's that idiom: teach a man, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day; teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. Right? You've heard of that?
Yeah.
So like that idiom is not telling you like why eating fish is good. Okay.
Sorry, I forgot what Aaron was
Oh, okay. I don't.
I'm really sorry.
You could use mine and all.
I wouldn't be mine, but I have a bald spot. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking.
No, it's not that I think you're joking. It's just that, yeah.
Okay.
What was I going to say?
Just remember to return to me.
Yeah.
Sure, because I'm totally good for that.
I think you're finishing an idea.
Oh yeah. So give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So that proverb is not explaining the value of eating fish, right? It's presupposing that you already know the value of eating fish, and it's just saying that you're going to get a better return on your investment, if you teach the guy to fish. So what the Meiri is saying basically is we're not going to explain to you why gold and wealth is good, but if you want wealth, then getting a good reputation is going to oftentimes lead to more wealth than otherwise. And not only that, but if you go to wealth to the exclusion of a good name, like let's say there are many people who will be like cutthroat in business in a way that like makes them untrustworthy in people's eyes, and they'll make a quick profit, but in the long run, no one's going to want to work with them, and that's going to like lead to their failure. So that was the closest we said to an idea we said yesterday.
So I have an idea.
Sure.
It was when I looked at this pasuk, I'm like, wow, this is like. So
Okay.
I think there are two sides of the coin, and I think Dan, you could relate to this because when I see this pasuk, I think about business and reputation.
And we know Dan is the businessman.
No, well, he's in the business of finding clients. So like,
Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead.
As we all are. So when I first got into the business, I heard this term. His name is gold.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Now
they're even using the same muscle.
now what does that mean? His name is gold. It means that whenever anyone hears his name, like they know he's like his integrity, his honesty, his professionalism is incredible.
Yeah.
Like that's the reputation he built.
Right.
So much so, and that in itself will give him business. It's not the amount of wealth that he has.
Yeah.
That gives a perception that he's successful.
Yeah.
It's like it's his reputation that will naturally just get on the business.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
That's the hobby on the first side of the pasuk, and that's like the maskana, because people may there's like two sides of the coin. One is how you should treat yourself within the business, and how if you're a client who you should seek out,
right,
and how just don't look at the perception of his wealth, look at his reputation.
Right. Just to add to that, Havamina, is that I think there is an assumption that people have either consciously or unconsciously that when someone is wealthy, it means that they somehow are the cause of that wealth. So, but we know wealth can come from many sources, it could, be an inheritance. It could be like, just family. It could be luck. Right. So like when you see someone who is wealthy, then you should dig beneath the surface to see what this person's reputation is, to see whether there's any connection between the wealth and the person's actual qualities, and if the wealth comes from their qualities, so then the wealth is actually a testament to that. But if it is independent of their qualities or contrary to their qualities, then you should ignore it and not partner with them. Yeah. And
the second half of the pasuk is there are two types of favors they can give out. One favor is, okay, I'm giving you something, to expect something else.
Okay.
You need to expect something in return. But then there's another level of favor, which is I'm doing this for you for the sake of the objective reality of that it's good. It's a favor that I know that's going to benefit you, and I'm not expecting anything in return because I know it's just good as an objective whole. Right? That favor is it could be contagious because at the end of the day, the consequence is that it's better than gold and silver because the value that brings to an individual is just psychologically or unconsciously greater than gold and silver.
I'm going to agree with your idea. I'm going to tweak the translation.
Sure.
In a sense, you were saying like a favor that you give. I don't think chen is used in that sense. Chen means the favor that a person has.
What does that mean?
Meaning like the way people Esther was matzah chen be'inei Achashverosh. She found favor in Achashverosh's eyes, right? Not that she's giving him favors.
She finds favor
in his eyes.
What does that mean?
It means that people like you, or they view you as good,
or he favors you.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a quality of the person, not something that they do. But I think that's why we thought it was a synonym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is maybe like goodwill.
Right. So let me just, I'm going to stick with your interpretation, just reading it into the actual meaning of chen here. So we saw that the Targum translated chen as chesed. So you could just say it's talking about a person who does the types of favors you're talking about, but that gives them favor in people's eyes.
Can I just give an example
Yeah.
of why I'm thinking this? And like I don't know the translation, but just like somehow will squeeze itself in.
Okay.
You know, like in my company, like in KW, we always teach to come from contribution.
Mm.
You know, regardless if regardless of them either joining the company or doing anything else for you, because you want to come from a place because like it's just objectively good.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what it is. And
Yeah.
like you keep on giving and giving.
Right.
And yeah, it happens to be that like at the end of the day they do, you know, see the value and they do come.
Right.
But like they teach us like always give from contribution without expectations.
Right.
Or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's good. And I think that people
I think that finds
yeah, because people can sense if you're doing it as like an exchange, like as a like, you know, but they can tell when you are doing it without expecting anything in return. And when we say expecting anything in return, like I think even like, let's say you telling me this now, right? That this is your philosophy of like, you know, contribution without expecting anything in return. Even though I know that like, you know, that it's good for business, you could still tell in the individual acts of giving, like, is this person doing it like and expecting like, you know, something in response or not? So like, I think it still works. Yeah. All right. So I think that's a good interpretation of the pasuk. And I think it's very good mishleically, because the way that Shlomo, we've talked about this many times, the way Shlomo motivates you is using things you're already motivated by. So here he's saying, if you want to become wealthy or successful, if you want to become successful, so then like forget Torah and like good mitos. Here he's saying if you want to become successful in like the material sense, then you should favor having a good name and a good reputation, which is going to lead you to perfect your mitos. Right. And also work on becoming a person who is a bal chen in the sense of like you give chesed, you know, you do chesed, and then people will gravitate towards you, and like, you know, it'll help your success. All right, that's good shot.
I have an example of this.
Sure.
Where I was on like, I was not the person from the pasuk, but I was the person who was like doing someone a favor.
Yeah.
Like because of the thing. A friend of mine like a while ago, when like I got my job offer, like took time out of his busy schedule to help me like understand exactly like what like all the different like details of it were, and like really understand exactly what it meant.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was like really nice. It was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And like I knew he was busy, but he like did it anyway.
Yeah.
And then this week he messaged me like asking if like I could help him with this assignment that he's working on that I happen to have expertise about.
Yeah.
And like I've been like super busy with schoolwork this week. But like I just said yes without even like thinking about it. I was like yes for sure, because of this.
That's good. So that's another good point here, which I feel like we did this on a Monday night earlier this year. That I think one of the reasons why this works is people do feel, normal people, like not sociopaths or whatever, people do feel like indebtedness when someone does good for them, especially when it is when they do it, you know, without any expectation. So in other words, even like if I do something for you without any expectation of like an exchange or a payback, it still has the effect of creating a transaction in your mind that you now feel that you're indebted, you know. And people even say like I'm indebted to you, like even though they're just saying that to mean I'm grateful to you, you know. Yeah.
But look, I didn't have the feeling of like this was something I owed him, and now my debt is erased.
Right. And if he said at the outset when he helped you, he said, okay, I'll help you, but if I need you to help me, then like I expect you to help me, that would have negated
I also would have said this week, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have the time.
Right.
Like,
but if you want to get a little bit of manipulative with using this pasuk too, like look, let's be honest. At the end of the day, we all know what we want, you know, when you know, when I'm like going to recruit, you know, firms or agents or whatever, like I have an end goal. I just know how to, you know, I just know what to do and what to say and how to say it and when to do it.
Right.
So that it may feel like.
But here's the thing though. But you just to go to I don't have a specific pasuk in mind, but like the you have to be aware of the fact that sometimes the fixation on doing it in a manipulative manner can be read by the other person, even if you're using the right techniques. In other words, there are people in the same way as like we talked about in the pasuk we did before the break of the mistake of a chacham where he gets too caught up in his strategizing that he doesn't see that there are consequences. Similarly, if you get too caught up in your strategizing to the point where the other person can smell that you're trying to manipulate them.
Oh, I know the pasuk that we did. It was something about like giving a gift calms anger, but giving a bribe inflames it.
That's right. That's a good. That's a good way to put it. Right. Is that if you that the same action, if the person perceives that you're doing it for some ulterior motive, it could be viewed as you're trying to like manipulate me, and then it could backfire.
So that's not actually what I meant by that.
Yeah.
I meant by like I don't mean in the actual transaction itself.
Yeah.
Like I just mean that like having this pasuk, like the consequences, like whenever I have an end goal. When I'm calling them, like I may come up as like contributing to like what they need and ultimately helping them out. But at the end of the day, like the whole premise, and this might be an issue with the interpretation, like the whole premise of what I'm doing is so that I get the end goal.
Right.
So like it's not really doing it for the itself.
Right.
But
I understand. This is one of these
manipulating.
areas, right? This is one of these areas where like the reality is going to be much more complicated and nuanced, and you just have to be aware that you don't want to slip into the mode in their eyes where it's going to like, even though everyone knows that this is how business works, you still have to like read the room and like know whether you're slipping into that mode in the other person's eyes, like that they're being manipulated. Okay, let's do another interpretation here. So I found the Ri Nachmias, who is in the packet on the bottom right.
I actually had a couple of thoughts about the pasuk.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Just in terms of like the nivchar.
Yeah.
Is it's that I think it's highlighting I think there's like a couple of aspects of like the mashal that stand out to me, that gold and silver are precious and rare, and very valuable.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, look, as precious and rare and valuable as those are, a good name is worth more and harder to get. And I said three adjectives, but it's two things. Okay. Basically, it's saying like, because I think there's this feeling of like a good name being this like intangible virtue.
Yeah.
That's like that's not like it doesn't have like a concrete value. I was saying
right.
It's more valuable than these things to make it like.
I'm smiling because if Chizkiyahu were here, I would make a crypto reference of like I think there is a certain, and I was going to make it just as a joke, but I'm realizing that like that's why I don't know enough about like crypto, but like I think that's why people feel weird about NFTs, because NFTs are actually like scarce and let's say they're valuable, but it feels like it is an abstract thing that like has no reality. It's not tangible, right? Like you like give me a physical Bitcoin and I'll believe, Yeah. But so I think that's how people feel about the shame, and therefore they feel like it's not really valuable. It's not a real thing. If it gets tarnished, I can just like make it up. It's not like the amount. Like I can't like look it up in my bank account and see like how much money I have.
Yeah. I actually have an example of something that is like something that's the opposite, where someone tarnished their name and then like. I was talking to a friend of mine about he could contact this person to basically book a ticket to something, and he's like, oh, I actually don't want to like ever talk to that guy, because the other day I was in line behind him at the cafe, and I heard him trash talking every member of this he's like on the student government. Yeah. The trash talking every member of the student government that he knew. Yeah. And that was like at the beginning of the year, but now it's like permanently ruined this guy's perception of it.
I think I've said this example before also. The same thing happened to me this year. The first encounter I had with a certain person was hearing him talk kind of semi bragging about like being hired by his brother-in-law and then kind of like slinking off on the job and like just like doing stuff to make his brother-in-law think that he was working. I cannot view this guy as an honest person anymore. Like that's and like that's it. That's just side recommendation. The show I was pushing to watch before the break was I'm blanking on the name. About Anna Delvey, the one on Netflix. Whatever it is. Okay. Anyway, that was about the
person who
fake being an heiress. Yeah. So another show I recommend along the same lines, very Mishlei, and also based on a true story, is The Dropout. It's on Hulu, who has Hulu anymore? Okay, but it's worth getting the free trial so that you can binge it just for that and then cancel it. Which is it's about Elizabeth Holmes, who was the CEO of Thanos. This basically she started this company based on this new technology, and it became worth billions of dollars, but was just defrauding people and lying, and then ended up like losing everything. And this is about her, and she has an interesting thing. What got her so successful is she had chen. People just were attracted to her personality and had a belief in her, but it was all based on lies. And then the whole thing collapsed.
Are you talking about Inventing Anna, by the way?
Inventing Anna, that was the word. Yeah, not developing. Yeah, Inventing Anna. I still recommend that show, but like that one has more of a like she was big in like the socialite world. This is in like the big business world. Highly recommend, and great acting. Okay. So let's do the Rinach Mias. So Rinach Mias basically is like the Rabbeinu Yonah that we tried to understand yesterday, but I find this much clearer. Maybe this is what Rabbeinu Yonah was saying, maybe not, but this is much clearer in my opinion. So he says like this: Ki chen tov lamaris ha'ayin, v'shem tov holech lamarachok. So chen tov is only something that is visible, but shem tov can go the distance. So I think it might be that he's learning chen tov in the way that I meant with Esther, that like you see the person and like you're charmed by them. Like good charm might be a better way to state chen tov. Okay, so shem tov though, and again, I know we're in a world where like you can photograph somebody or like video, like have a video of them and like convey the chen tov also, but that you got to think about it back then. Al kain amar b'shem tov me'osher rav u'v'chen tov mikesef v'zahav. So that's why it says that with shem tov that it is better than great wealth, but chen tov is better than silver and gold. V'osher rav kolel shtehen, and great wealth includes both of them, v'od dvarim achrein, and more things. So he's learning that the relationship between osher rav and kesef v'zahav. Kesef v'zahav is like one type of asset, but osher rav can include like real estate and like investments and all this other stuff. Okay. Ukvar yadata masha amru zal shlosha ksarim heim. Is this the one that I wanted? Okay, we'll read it anyway. I thought there was something else. Ukvar yadata masha amru zal shlosha ksarim heim keser tor v'keser kuna v'keser malchus keser shem tov ola al gabehem. So you know what Chazal said. There are three crowns: a crown of Torah, a crown of Kahuna, and a crown of Malchus. And the crown of a good name rises above all of them. V'chein amru zal kana shem tov kana la'atmo. They also said that if you acquired a good name, you acquired it for yourself. But by wealth, they said that when there's more good, then there's more consumers. Meaning that if you have a lot of wealth, then people are going to come after you. Wealth is only in this world. A good name is in this world and in the world to come. Okay. Maybe that's not the part I wanted. This is the part I wanted. So we quoted this pasuk in Yirmiyahu yesterday with the 4 perfections. So al yishala chacham b'chachmaso, al yishala hagibor b'gvuraso, al yishala ashir b'oshra. So chacham shouldn't praise himself for his chachma. A strong person shouldn't praise himself for his strength. Al yishala ashir b'oshra, and a wealthy person shouldn't praise himself for his wealth. Ki'im bezos yishala hamishala. Only in this should a person praise himself. Haskil v'yado osi. Comprehending and knowing me, Hashem, because I'm Hashem who does kindness, justice, and righteousness on the land. For in these is my desire. Now check this out. This is the part that I think is cool. Is it next page? He says, Ein chachma ve'ein tvuna keneged al yishal chacham b'chachmasa. So the pasuk we did 2 pasukim ago, which is there's no chachma, no tvuna, and no etza against Hashem. That corresponds to a chacham shouldn't praise himself for his chachma. Sus muchan liyom milchama, a horse is prepared for the day of battle. That's keneged al yishal hagibur b'gvurasa. That corresponds to physical strength. V'nivchar shem meosher rav keneged al yishal asher b'ashro. That corresponds to wealth. Ki'im bezos yishal mishala haskel vido osi. Through knowledge of God, a person will acquire a good name. Mida keneged mida. Hu yada es Hashem. God's name. Gam Hashem yitain lo shem tov yotze b'chol ha'olam. God will also give you a good name that goes throughout all the world. So he's just sequencing the pasukim in a way where it is this cluster of pasukim is going through false successes and saying that don't put your security in the success of chachma, in the success of wealth, or in the success of strength, or in the success of wealth. But the only thing that you can actually take security in is Yedias Hashem, because that actually will last you forever. Okay, fine. Next idea is the Malbim, who says like this.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
Are any of these interpretations, like the individuals, were some of them in business at all? I'm just curious.
You mean the meforshim who are interpreting these things?
I'm just many of them were in the business industry.
It's interesting. I don't know anything about the Rinach Mias. The Malbim, I think, was in the rabbinate because the rabbinate existed at his time. But Rashi famously was a wine merchant, right?
You know why I'm asking this, because I'm curious to know if their experiences would lend themselves into this.
Yeah. So I actually don't know.
I'm surprised no one's saying what I said.
I'm
really surprised. It's like I just wonder if it was a different world back then, so they interpret different.
I don't know. I mean, the merchants still had to have a reputation,
I know.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know any of these people. Even Ezra was in business, but he was not successful.
Yeah.
You know his whole thing, right?
No.
He has this whole poem. It's a great poem.
Yeah.
It's like I'm so unsuccessful. If I sold candles, then the sun would never set. If I sold shrouds, people would stop dying. It's a really funny thing. Yeah, yeah. He was poor, and that's why he traveled. Okay, Malbim says. Nivchar shem meosher rav kinyane haosher hem kinyanim medumim bilti devukim misatzmim ima. Okay, so this I liked because it corresponded to what I brought up yesterday from the Rambam. He says possessions of wealth or acquisitions of wealth hem kinyanim medumim. They are imaginary possessions. Bilti devukim misatzmim ima, which don't actually relate to the person essentially. Okay. Upitom yivaresh v'avad ha'osher b'inyan ra. You can immediately become poor and lose the wealth in a bad event. Okay, so pause there for 1 second. I just want to read it from the Rambam because I like the way the Rambam says it. This is in the Morning Mishlei 354. Here now what I have to say after having given the above explanation. The ancient and the modern philosophers have shown that man can acquire 4 kinds of perfection. The first kind, the lowest, which most people spend most of their days trying to acquire, is perfection of material possessions. The possession of money, garments, furniture, servants, land, and the like. The possession of a title of a great king also belongs to this class. So we're talking actual wealth and then status. There is no close actual connection between this possession and its possessor at all. It is a totally circumstantial relationship, and most of the pleasure derived from it is totally imaginary. And by that, I mean, I'm referring to when a person says, this is my house, this is my servant, this is my money, and these are my hosts and armies. For when he examines himself, he will find that all these things are external and their qualities are entirely independent of the possessor. When, therefore, that relation ceases, he who has been a great king may one morning find that there is no difference between him and the lowest person. And yet no change has taken place in the things which were ascribed to him, right? So stock market crashes, you suddenly go from being wealthy to being poor. The philosophers have shown that he whose sole aim in all his exertions and endeavors is the possession of this kind of perfection only seeks perfectly imaginary and transient things. And even if these remain his property all his lifetime, they do not give him any perfection. So I think all of that is what the Malbim eloquently expresses in they are kinyanim medumim, imaginary possessions, bilti devukim misatzmim imo, that do not cling essentially to him. Okay, okay, fine. Aval Hashem, but the name shekana al yidei ma'asav hatovim, which you get through your actions, Haim misatzmim benafsho bilti nifradim mimeno. They are essentially tied to your soul, which cannot be separated from you. So when he says a shame here, he does not mean shame like just what people think of you. He means like your what do you call it? Like your actual perfections, your actual identity. Identity might be a better word for this. your identity that comes from your good actions. No one can take your identity away from you, which is defined by your ideas and your mitos. Tachlis ha'osher harav yoser min hatzorech. Tachlis ha'osher harav yoser min hatzorech lahasi kavod v'shiyu dvarim nishmaim. Am I misreading this somehow? I feel like there's a partial sentence here. Tachlis ha'osher, the ultimate wealth, extreme wealth, yoser maybe is greater. Yoser min hatzorech, which is greater than how much you need. Lahasi kavod, to achieve honor, vishiyu dvar nishmaim.
The purpose of excess wealth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Excess wealth is lahasik kavod shiu dvarim nishmaim. Okay, is to attain honor, and the word should be obeyed. Let's see if that fits. V'zeh yasig yoser bal hashem. But that is going to be acquired more by the person who has a good reputation or a good name. V'ha'osher rav tzricha shmira v'gozo shanas balav. Okay, so great wealth requires protection, and it steals the sleep of its possessor. That's a reference to Koheles pasuk, I think, that like you can't sleep because you're so anxious about your wealth being lost or your investments. Locain Hashem, but you don't have to worry about that with your name, your good name. Okay, now check out what he does here. This is Malbim. He takes every phrase differently, so he's not going to learn that the two are the same. Mikesef umizahav chen tov, hakesef hazahav ein lahem ma'ala pnimis rak haskamiis. Okay, so silver and gold. Okay, don't tell certain libertarians about this. Silver and gold don't have any intrinsic value. It's just value by convention. Okay, she's haskamias. It's she's skimo aleim laseis lahem shivu yoser al yoser hamatefis. People just agree to instill these metals with more value than other metals. Okay, v'dugmaso hachein tov, and that's the same thing with good chen. She'adam motze chen be'inei anashim mitzad hahaskama. A person finds favor in the eyes of other people by way of agreement. But that's still going to be better than the silver and gold that he acquires. Because chen is something that inheres in the person himself, but not in something else. V'gam shama sheyuchal lahasik etzel shalit v'sarim alidei shitin kesef zahav. And also, you're going to get more out of the rulers through good chen than you will from kesef and zahav. Hine Hashem hu lefi hamasim v'hachen hu mitzad hachanina. Okay, so now he's differentiating. The shame that we were talking about in the first half is based on your actions. The chen is based on graciousness from people or favor from people. Kamosha Amar, and he gives a good raya that these are two different things. This is from the Chumash. Hashem says to Moshe, "Yedaticha b'shem v'gam matzasa chen be'inai." So there are two different things. I have known you by name, and you have found favor in my eyes. V'neged zeh ha'osher hu hakinyan shelo v'nivchar mimeno Hashem shehu kinyan atmi lo. So corresponding to the wealth, which is a possession of his, and the name is preferable to him because it's an essential kinyan to himself. V'achin she'eno kinyan rak motzao be'inei acher. Tov mikesef zahav she's nilo acherin, and chen, which is not a kinyan to him but is found in the eyes of other people, that's better than kesef zahav that people give to him. So let's understand what he's saying. Let me summarize and then we'll understand the idea. So he's saying that. So first thing, the main thing is the difference between a shame and chen. Okay, shame is basically who you are based on your actions. Chen is how people view you. So chen, I think, is what we would call reputation. Because reputations can be ruined by people, even if they don't correspond to your actual actions, right? People can spread malicious rumors or whatever, and make up slander, and ruin someone's reputation, even though it's not actually stemming from their actions. But Hashem, that he's talking about here, is the objective reality of like what you have done with your life. Okay. Then he's saying that Osher Rav means a lot of wealth and possessions. Possessions, which you have, but are imaginary and outside of yourself and can be taken away like that. Whereas, and then Kesef and Zahav are metals that people endow with value, and they only have value because people say they have value. Here again, we can use NFTs and crypto as an example of this, right? Is that if people did not give value to it, attach value to it, then it wouldn't have any value. right? Okay, so now the question is, what's the idea?
Choose a good shame and think of.
Well, so the purpose of the pasuk is that you should seek out, you should cultivate a good shame through your good actions, right? And chen tov is also something that is more valuable than wealth. Okay, so all the ideas we said can fit into that. But is there some other idea that's being brought out here by making these dual comparisons? I mean, I think to me the essential idea, sorry, not the essential idea, the essential chiddush for me is, you know, we were confused about how we said that a shame is something that is like stems from your actions, but it's not entirely in your control, right? So what I like about the Malbim's approach is he is splitting those two. He's saying that there is a shame which is entirely in your control, which is what you actually do, right? And who you are. And then the chen that is found in the eyes of other people, that's not entirely within your control. So I like the fact that he's acknowledging the distinction. And he is also acknowledging that having a good reputation in terms of chen tov is still more valuable than money. In fact, what he's doing basically is what we said for the entire pasuk, he's saying for the second half, right? He's saying that, look, if you have a good reputation, people are going to trust you, they're going to invest in you, they're going to do stuff for you, like same thing in yours and Ariel's ideas. So that's all from Malbim in the second half. So the chiddush is going to come from the first half, that having good actions is like more valuable than imaginary possessions. But like in what framework, you know?
What are imaginary possessions?
All possessions are imaginary.
I mean, in our pasuk, that's just what
Yeah. I mean, all
that's the
physical
second
wealth.
half of the pasuk.
What was it?
The second
Oh,
half?
no, that's the first half of the pasuk. Second half is specifically the gold and the silver that you have is dependent. The value of it is dependent on people agreeing upon it, and the value can drop. You know, right? You could become what is it? Worst example. This is Venezuela, right? When the Venezuelan economy crashed, then like what was it? People were using the Venezuelan dollar as toilet paper because the actual toilet paper, if you bought it, was more expensive. Like, in other words, the value was, like you needed like like some ridiculous amount, like $1 trillion Venezuelan dollars to like buy like, something, So like money can just drop in value, right?
So what's your question?
So my question is, what is so everything we were saying about reputation, the Malbim is condensing into the second half of the pasuk about silver and gold, right? The reputation is ultimately dependent on other people, right? So the first half, though, is where the chiddush is going to come from, or the juxtaposition of the two halves. Pasuk is, yeah. So let me I'll just plug in the Malbim here. So a good name, i.e., your actual identity based on. We need to. Well, I'll do it then.
No, I'll do it. I'm just the idea.
This is why we're going to Mishlei.
You're right. I apologize.
Good shot.
תודה רבה, שבת שלום, בהצלחה, פרנסה, ושמחה, Thank you very much.
Have a good Shabbos. Oh, hold on. I think someone else is coming. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll pause this. Okay, so just a side Mishlei thing. So I don't know if you can tell from the recording, but hold on just a second here. So some people came in to get tzedakah, right? So I want to show you an idea about this. In Eishes Chayil, which is in the last parak of Mishlei, it says that what does she do? Yadeha shilcha v'kishor v'chapeha tamku falech. So her hand is we need Sean. I forgot which is which. So there's this thing, there's the spindle and the distaff, okay, which are two things that you use for like when you make a thread, okay, and I forgot which one corresponds to which in this pasuk. Yadeha shilcha v'kishor, I think that's the spindle. No, actually, I'm not sure which is which.
Yeah, if you go back to I was gonna say which one is which in the image, but I realized.
Yeah, that's my question, right? So the point is that the Eishes Chayil is making thread, okay, And then the second pasuk says, "Kapa parsa la'ani v'yadeha shilcha la'evyon." Her hand is her palm is spread to the poor, and her hand is stretches out to the destitute. Okay, so most psukim in Eishes Chayil are individual psukim, but this you can tell is supposed to be paired. How can you tell?
What was there?
Yud Tes and Chaf.
Okay.
Okay, how can you tell? Because it uses the same lashon. Yad shilcha and kaf, and here is kaf and yad shilcha, right? So the idea is related, and I think that this is. So the question is like, what's the idea? So if you look at the Meiri, I think it's the Meiri, says, in fact, actually, just 1 second. Okay, I don't know if it's Meiri. I'm not going to find it now because we have to go soon. But it's that there are people who will be involved in there are people who give tzedakah, right? But like they'll give tzedakah, but if they're involved in their own work, they don't want to be interrupted. But what we're showing about her is she's involved in her work, and the same hands that are involved in her work, when a poor person comes and like seeks money, she just drops what she's doing and then cares for their needs, you know, and that's why it uses the same lashon of the yadah shilcha v'kishor tamku falech kapa parsalani v'yadah shilcha le'evyon, right? Is she drops it and doesn't say like, oh, I'll get to you when I have a chance, you know. So like, I think, and you know, and if you want to take that to the realm of learning, you know, because Eishes Chayil is also much for learning, then like you know, similar thing.
I had to apologize. I was really
okay. Yeah, no,
you were giving it.
It's fine. I'm not.
We're
I just
almost close to 9:15.
I know. Yeah, I hear. I hear. Yeah.
Normally I do get it.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I don't mean to cast aspersions on you. I'm just saying.
Everyone knows my voice. I mean,
Yeah. I can delete it if you want.
I mean, it would be nice to then.
Okay. I can delete it, but I was in the moment too.
I know. I was just take this as a compliment.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Idea.
So let's just wrap it up with Malbim here. So a good name, i.e. your actual identity based on your actions, okay, is choicer than great wealth, which is possessions which are imaginary and not like imaginarily related to you. That's not imaginarily related to you. Okay, meaning that they don't actually like there's no connection between them and you. And then and good favor, i.e. the reputation you have in other people's eyes based on their like consent. No, that consent is the wrong word here. Based on like public opinion. Let's just say based on public opinion. Okay, opinion is choicer than silver and gold, i.e. metals that only have value based on convention. Yeah, so that's how he's reading it. Yeah, you have an idea?
Yeah.
By the way, if you have to go, then you can go. I just wanted to finish this up.
Yeah, just like in terms of what you're saying about like the shame.
Yeah.
Saying being like a better person is worth more than having more possessions.
Right.
And it's worth more in a real sense.
Right, because you actually have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also worth more in terms of the impact it has on your life.
Right.
And like, you know, there is, you know, wealth does have an impact on your life also, but like in a way that's much more ephemeral and
yeah. So, and that's the sense I'm getting also, that it's possible that he's really not saying why in terms of, sorry, he's not saying what the particular good you're going to get out of it. It could be what you're saying. It could be what you're saying. It could be what the, you know, what other meforshim are saying. But he is saying that it's in terms of the connection to you, that a good name is actually yours and is lasting. and whereas these possessions are transient, and then if you're going to go for stuff that is based on public opinion, so then go towards something about public opinion of you, which is going to have like a good investment for all the reasons we said, not something that is it's hard to say. Yeah. This is more to think about.
It being general.
Yeah.
I'd say I kind of get that sense from the pasuk.
Yeah.
The pasuk itself.
Pasuk is general, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not
Right.
talking about specific differences.
Yeah. All right, at least we got one idea, or not one idea. We got several ideas, but I would like to get them all in a little bit more, but we got to go now. All right, have a good Shabbos. Thanks for coming.
Sorry again.
Yeah, that's good.
Uh,
Yeah.